But Andrew Cuomo, when he was governor of New York, was one of the first Democrat governors to change the law to say there will be no restrictions on abortion, even change the penal code such that if you killed a woman who was pregnant, it would no longer be double homicide. It would only be a single homicide. And then he lit up the Freedom Tower pink to celebrate. Tim Walz, as governor of Minnesota, repealed legal protections for babies who are born alive, who survive abortions.
Wow, that's a interesting start to this clip. So here we have Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire. He's on a show called Breaking Points, where he's debating this guy here. I forget his name. He's got the leftist or Democratic take. And it's pretty bad, you know. If talk about abortion upsets you, I suggest you don't watch this one, because Michael Knowles completely schools this idiot here from Breaking Points, makes him look a fool, and makes his points very clearly and eloquently. Let's get into it.
Babies can survive outside of the womb now as early as 20.
Let me just get back to the right part. I forgot to. There we go. There we go.
And Democrats would say that the reason that they're competitive, or the reason that why they might even have a slight advantage at this point, is Trump's success in overturning Roe v. Wade, and that the country has kind of recoiled at that. What's your assessment of that? And tell me, like, for people who our ecosystems don't overlap enough. So a lot of our viewers might not know, what exactly your politics are, where you are on this side. My understanding is you're like pretty hardcore on the life side.
I prepped him, Michael.
Like down the line. She prepped me a little bit. Like you're like down the line, like as out there as you can get on it, right?
Hardcore on the life side. Listen to this guy. Down the line, as far out there as you can get. Yeah, he doesn't like killing living beings. That's hardcore and down and way out there, according to this idiot.
Yeah, I think we ought to protect babies. I think it's bad to kill babies. It's basically I guess that's an extreme position now. I used to be a kind of a moderate, common sense position.
I'm for protecting babies too. You want to elaborate on that?
We agree.
Yeah.
I don't think we really need to elaborate. I think it's bad to kill babies. So that would inform my election choices. I agree with you that Roe v. Wade's overruling is an issue in the campaign. I think it's really the only issue that helps Democrats at all, and then only in certain places. But conservatives have debated how to react to this. You've seen a lot of Republicans just basically trying to downplay the issue on the campaign trail, which is probably fine as a matter of prudence. I think what happened with Roe v. Wade being overruled is not that pro-lifers merely won a victory. It's not that Democrats won a political victory, as some of them claim. It's that the whole conversation changed. So now the Supreme Court says in the Dobbs ruling that the issue has to go back to the states. The Supreme Court could have said that the 14th Amendment provides equal protection, and so you can't kill babies anywhere. That's certainly an argument. Professor Robbie George, John Finnis made that argument in an amicus brief to the court. But that's not what they said. They said the issue goes back to the states, and people can vote on it. And so the issue for pro-lifers is that when abortion has come up as a ballot initiative, the pro-abortion policies have succeeded. They've prevailed pretty much every time. So Republicans are in a bad position right now because we're in a whole new ballgame. And so what is required is to win hearts and minds and persuade people that it's wrong to kill babies and it's good to protect life at the state level. But that's not really a federal matter right now. The Supreme Court has ruled on it. So when Trump and J.D. Vance downplay the issue of abortion, I think they're doing so as a matter of political prudence, but it's also just common sense. They really have nothing to do with that issue right now. Unless the Supreme Court is going to reverse its position, which it's not, then that's really a matter for the states, and it's a matter for gubernatorial candidates and state legislature candidates to fight.
And not to debate the point, but just on the definition of babies again, do you think that an IUD kills babies?
Well, an IUD is a contraceptive device, right? So in principle, I'm not not the biggest expert in contraception. I have 3 kids under 4, but from what I understand, that would prevent the conception of a baby. So
it in general prevents the implantation.
Oh, well, inasmuch, I suppose this would be similar to certain abortifacient drugs where
Plan B.
the nature of it, like Plan B, is debated. And some people, you're being, I suppose, a little bit more blunt about it than many pro-sexual revolution types on the left. But many people argue that things like Plan B or things like IUDs are merely contraceptive and not abortifacient. But if they are contraceptive, then they prevent contraception. If they're abortifacient, they obviously involve abortions.
Yeah, it's just a matter of basic fact that sometimes they prevent implantation.
Right.
So you would consider that a baby. So you would say IUDs, if that's the case, if I'm right about that you think that IUDs, a woman with an IUD is like killing babies.
I guess the question you're asking me is, when do I think human life begins? Mm-hmm. And so my answer is, I think it begins at the beginning. I don't know when else you would say it begins. Now, of course, no one's really campaigning in this election.
Where's
they're not even really campaigning on abortion, but no one's really campaigning against IUDs or any contraception or anything like that. We're pointing out that the Democrats have taken their safe, legal, rare position. Well, the reason is because the Democrats.
You just said you're voting on kill. You don't want to kill babies.
You like, Ryan,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So the reason that they're not campaigning on that is because the Democrats have moved the goalposts so far. They used to campaign on safe, legal, and rare. Now they campaign on abortion at any moment up till birth and including after birth.
Oh la la, this kind of stuff. Yeah, especially if you have kids. I've got 4 kids, 3 of them adults living their own lives, but one who's a teenager now. And yeah, I mean, this idea of these super late term abortions and post-term abortions, where, well, I think he's going to get into it, but it really turns the stomach, honestly.
So I know the Democrats are trying to run away with this because it's unpopular, but Andrew Cuomo, when he was governor of New York, was one of the first Democrat governors to change the law to say there will be no restrictions on abortion, even change the penal code such that if you killed a woman who was pregnant, it would no longer be double homicide. It would only be a single homicide. And then he lit up the Freedom Tower pink to celebrate. Tim Walz, as governor of Minnesota, repealed legal protections for babies who are born alive, who survive abortions. Babies can survive outside of the womb now as early as 24 weeks, 23 weeks, 22 weeks.
So that was the Tim Walz who was Kamala Harris's running mate, Mr. Good Old Folksy guy, changed the legislation so a baby born who survived an abortion attempt would be allowed to die, Jesus, it's like a nightmare, this whole thing.
Even 21 weeks. So it's very, very young. Abortions take place up until the moment of birth. And so previously in Minnesota, there was a law that required doctors to provide medical care to babies who survive abortions, just as you would provide medical care to anybody who needed it. Tim Walz removed those protections. Tim Walz then also removed the reporting requirements. Now, we know the number is disputed, but we know somewhere at least 5, maybe 8, maybe more babies actually were born alive, and they were callously left to die without any medical care. So that's where we're fighting the issue right now, because it clarifies the issue so much, and it's where Democrats have brought the issue. It's not Republicans who have done that.
Well, Ryan, I saw your reaction to the after birth thing. Did you want to follow up on? I mean, Michael explained what happened in Minnesota, for example, which is it's a matter of not providing care, legalizing the declining to provide care.
How is that even possible to be made legal? Can you do that? That seems like it's against a Hippocratic oath, if nothing else. But of course, doctors, it seems to me that performing an abortion in the first place is against a Hippocratic oath. In fact, isn't it against the original one? Isn't there something about it in it saying a doctor may not give a pessary to a pregnant woman or something like that, which I guess was a type of abortion-inducing something or other. And then, of course, there's doctors, mutilating children and mutilating adults, not just children, all in the names of this so-called gender-affirming care. Isn't that against the Hippocratic oath? Mutilating people? It's absolutely disgusting. It blows my mind.
Is that not... that is a real thing that both Cuomo, it was something that Ralph Northam advocated for.
I guess, why don't we leave this to doctors? Who am I to,
because we're citizens in a
medical
self-governing
school.
republic, and we have laws against...
You didn't go to medical school, and you can't even come up with some convincing opinion or statement because you didn't go to medical school. That's like that idiot Supreme Court Justice Ketanji something or other. And when they asked her during her confirmation hearing, somebody asked her, "What is a woman?" And she refused to answer and said, "I'm not a doctor. You'll have to ask a biologist," I think is what she said. Yeah, adult human female. That's a woman. So this guy's not a doctor, so he can't say whether what he's talking about, whether doctors allowing newly born babies to die is good or not. He has to ask a doctor.
Murder. It's so amazing that the Democrats who have been campaigning for socialized medicine for decades now say on this one healthcare issue, we just need to get the government out of it. What are you talking?
Wow, that's a very good point. That's a very excellent point made by Michael Knowles. If I ever talk about this with my family, this issue, which I probably won't, because as you all know, my family and I cannot talk about anything political or social or cultural, basically. I will bring up that point, though.
Talking about. We're citizens. We live in a self-governing republic. We have something to say about the laws. That's why we're all talking about an election here. And we're talking about a matter of life and death, even if you take the babies out of it. For some reason, you don't like the babies. Yeah. But let's say you're just talking about, I don't know, a disabled woman or something, just an adult who is in the room. Who requires desperate medical care in an emergency room. Would you say that doctors should just ignore her? Wouldn't you say that the law ought to impel medical providers to provide that urgent medical care? We have plenty of those laws on the books right now. Why is it just the case that when it comes to the most vulnerable, little babies, that for them, we, in the words of Ralph Northam, we just kind of put them on a table, maybe make them a little comfortable and have a conversation between the doctor and the mother to see if you want to kill them?
Wow, absolutely brutal takedown there by Michael Knowles. All very civil and all that, but completely blew this other guy out of the water, this idiot on breaking points. So Michael Knowles, yeah, what else can you say about the abortion debate? People are going to, here in Europe, where I live, as you know, I've been living in Europe for over 30 years. It's pretty much, I don't even know, in Western European countries, any country where it's actually even a debate. It's never an election debate because abortion is fully legal here. Now, in the country where I live, I don't know the specific rules governing it, like how late you can get one and all that. Don't know if I want to know. Maybe I should find out. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. And do write a comment. It helps the algorithm. In the meantime, like and subscribe really helps me grow the channel and continue making content for you.